Hi, welcome to my next tarot reading. Today I thought I would do a reading based on trust and how we can know whether we can trust someone or not. I think it's often quite difficult to work out if our intuition is is telling us the truth or not, or to trust our intuition even. I think sometimes like our head and our heart get muddled and get in the way of each other, and so when we're trying to work out, is it safe to trust this person, or is this person trustworthy when we're welcoming new relationships into our life, I thought a card reading would be a useful way of trying to get to the bottom of that, if that's something that you're experiencing right now. Because when we meet a new person, we especially if we feel like there's a chemistry between us, if there's an attraction, whether that's like, a person that you meet that you want to be friends with, or a person that you meet that you want to be in an intimate relationship with, there's always some kind of chemistry that goes on when we feel like we click with someone and when we want to get to know more of them. And a new friendship can be equally as intoxicating as a new relationship, and equally as all-consuming as well. When we first make a new friend, we want to spend as much time as possible with them. We enjoy being in their company. They make us feel bigger and brighter and lighter. They inspire and energize us. And the same with a new partner. It's like everything else kind of like falls away and the new relationship takes center place. But it can be difficult to know whether our desire to be with that person is pure or not. It's like, are we wanting to be with them because we're lonely, because we haven't made a new friendship in a long time, or because we haven't been in a new relationship in a while, so we desperately want to fill that kind of like empty void inside of us. So we're not necessarily being led by the right intentions. Like our mind and our ego get in the way of our heart and our gut and what our true senses are telling us, because the brain tries to intellectualize everything and be really logical, and that kind of like pushes aside the heart, and the heart is the one that is telling you more of the truth, and then beneath that there's the gut that is saying this person is good for you, or this person isn't, or be careful, or hey, dive right in. It's like you will be getting messages from your body that are telling you all sorts of information about every new person that you meet, and about people in your life that are already in your life, that maybe maybe those relationships are a little problematic and you're struggling to figure out whether you should be in those relationships still or not. When it comes to friendships, it's like, how do we know if our friends' intentions are pure or not? When they tell us things, are they lying to us? Are they being true? And so working out what you can trust is a really important factor in just steering clear of problematic situations, and in supporting yourself in the best possible way and keeping yourself safe, protected and safe. So I thought I would do a reading based on that, and I'm going to use 2 decks of cards actually. I'm going to use the Rider-Waite deck that I use quite a bit. So that's that deck there, the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, which is one of my favourite all-time decks. And then I have this other deck, which I'm really liking at the moment, which is the Animal Tarot cards. And I thought I'd pull 1 or 2 cards from the Animal Tarot cards just to support the reading, to lighten it up a bit, because the images are really, really beautiful. So I'm going to start off with the Radiant Rider-Waite cards. And the question that we're going to ask is, can I trust that this person is sincere in their intentions towards me? Okay, so I seem to have somehow flipped a few cards around by mistake, so I'm just going to, okay, that's cool. Correct that before I continue, otherwise that will change the balance in the reading. Okay, so I'm just shuffling the cards now. are spun around. That's what happens when I do other readings with clients and stuff, and then I put the cards back in the deck afterwards. And if I'm not thinking clearly, or if I'm still talking to the client at the same time, that's when the cards get spun around, because I'm not concentrating. Not giving my deck the full respect that it deserves. So, now that they're shuffled, I'm going to put the intention into the cards. So the first question I put in was, can I trust that this person's intentions towards me are pure? Okay. And then I'm going to ask, can they be relied upon? Okay, so we have two cards that came out for the second one. So, are this person's intentions clear? We got the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is telling us that actually, yes, their intentions are pure. They are a student of the truth and their truth. And they are trying to be a better person. They are trying to work for a higher cause. They are trying to, they're basically like, they're on a new path at the moment, yeah. So they've stepped off their current path and they've stepped onto a new path. And whether they've stepped onto this new path because of you, because of something that you have inspired in them, or whether they stepped onto this new path and then they met you, is, it could be either or of those situations. Or maybe meeting you will encourage them to step onto this new path. But this person is like, they're on a path, they're on a journey. They're trying to be a better person. They're trying to improve upon themselves, and they're trying to learn new things that they weren't necessarily aware of before, or interested in before, or even believed in before. So you can trust them when they say that they like you and that they want to be with you. That they are being true. They are being truthful in their word, and their intentions are pure in the moment. And then the next cards were, but can they be relied upon? Yeah. So like it's very easy to like if you say to somebody, do you like me, or do you really love me? They can say yes, and they can mean it in their heart, but maybe they're not able to convey that information to you. Maybe they're not able to show it to you in their actions. So maybe they still hurt you, or upset you, or offend you. So it's the situation is bigger than just, do they give a shit about you? It's like that giving a shit about you, caring about you, loving you, or whatever is one thing, but it's not massively useful if they don't follow through with their actions and take the right steps towards treating you with love and respect, and that in the way that you deserve. So in answer to that, we have two cards. Can they be relied upon? And the answers here are kind of conflicting. So the first card is for right now, and then the second one is in the future. Or this is like kind of like right now and in the past, and then this one is moving forwards into the future. So the most important one is kind of the moving forwards into the future, but we also need to take into consideration the right now and in the past, so that we can better understand this person and make a better, more accurate assessment, and also be be more comfortable in their company. So this card is the Seven of Swords, and the Seven of Swords is a card about an imposter. Seven of Swords is about someone coming in and stealing things from you. This character is basically, under cover of night, he is going into somebody else's camp, like, where all of these tents are set up, and he's stealing a load of swords, and the swords are like valuable, they're weapons, they're things that these people use to protect themselves and defend themselves. Maybe their sword is their livelihood because they're soldiers, and this character has gone in and he has stolen from them. So in the past, this person, whether they've done this to you or whether they've done this in their previous relationships, if this is a new relationship, this person has had a tendency to go in and take and to steal what they want. I guess, if we think about it more in terms of like, in a bit like an energy vampire. So they've seen a home, which is your home, your personal home, and they've seen that space with all of its gifts and all of its energies, and they've gone in there and they've taken whatever they wanted, and they felt quite happy about that in the process. They haven't really felt remorseful, they haven't felt guilty about it, because they haven't been honest about it, because they've gone in there undercover. So they've been like pretending to be one thing, and then they've gone in there under the radar and they've taken things from you or from other people, and they haven't owned up to it, and they haven't respectfully asked, hey, is it okay, if I take this from you, or I take that from you, or you do this for me, or you do that for me. And there's been no energetic exchange, so they haven't done anything in return either. So in the past, no, you couldn't trust this person particularly. They had ulterior motives going on. So when they were telling you, oh, I love you and I need you, or I like you and I'd like to be with you, or you make me happy and I'd like to spend more time with you, then they weren't necessarily pure in their intentions. Their intentions were partly based on the fact that they got something out of your company that they wanted, that they needed energetically. A bit like, I suppose, like introverts get energy from being on their own, not around other people, from doing things like meditation and yoga and reading and sleeping, and quiet, peaceful pursuits, sewing, painting, all of these things kind of recharge an introvert. But an extrovert needs to go out and be with other people in order to get energy, which is great if there's an even give and take. But sometimes people need to go out and be with other people to get energy, but they don't give anything back, they just take. So maybe this person was like that in the past. But moving into the future, we have the King of Swords. And this card could be read in several different ways. I mean, the King of Swords is somebody who keeps his word, someone who takes his word and his role very, very seriously, someone who is true to his word, whose word is his wand. And it's almost like the Page of Swords was kind of like studying and trying hard to become somebody and to become better at something and more knowledgeable at that thing. And the King of Swords is the page. Like, we can see the King of Swords maybe as the page when he's arrived and he has accomplished this task, and now he is more learned and he is more secure in this new way of living and being. So he has been true to his word in this sense, or her, or she. I'm saying he because all the characters in these cards are male, but that tends to be the way with the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Most of the characters are males, so this is a gender-neutral reading. I'm just using the imagery and the pictures and the archetypes. So you can trust that he will stay true to his word, that he will follow this new learning that he is undertaking, that he is trying to do. He will try hard to become competent in it, but maybe it will make him a little rigid and a little stuck and a little sharp. This king is not a happy, smiley king. This king is a slightly startling king. Yeah, he looks a bit sharp-edged, a bit pointy, a bit cold. Not necessarily somebody that you'd want to have a romantic relationship with. It's almost like he's trying so hard that his true self has disappeared and he's turned to stone. So you can kind of trust that he will follow through, but in following through, will you get the result you want from this person? And what I'm going to do, just interestingly, is I'm going to go through this deck and I'm going to try and find the same cards, pull them out, and then we'll compare what they say as well, and then maybe we'll pull a different one. So let's see where we go. This might take me a little while, but it shouldn't take me too long. So looking for the 7, the page 1. Okay. So it's interesting, actually. I didn't realise before. I don't know why I didn't realise. I think it's because the colouring on this card is so different that they're all actually swords. So I think that's quite relevant as well. That it's all about the truth and speaking the truth. And that's very pertinent here. Where are we getting that? King, got 7. Prince and got the princess. Okay. You've got that right. Let's give it a go and see how we go. Okay, so the Page of Swords is also the Princess of Winter. So these two cards are the same. And the Princess of Winter says, this is an intellectual challenge that calls upon your ability to think of a matching solution. If helpful information is put to you bluntly, accept the message without being bothered by the messenger. Logical, truthful, curious, and undiplomatic. So, like, the page is off on a mission, a scholarly mission, to study something and to learn something new and to become a better person. And the seagull is also accepting a challenge to broaden their horizons, to look at things from a different perspective, to rise above and basically move move forwards from where they are right now. Yeah, like the seagull is all about, it's about elevation, so elevated thought, and then movement. So moving from who you are right now and what you believe right now into a different place or position. And then the seagull is also like, a seagull then like swoops back down to earth and back into the ocean to like pick up a fish and take it off and feed it to its young or its family, or eat it itself. So it's constantly dipping back in, so it's going up so it can get a better perspective, and then it's dipping back in again in order to satisfy its needs. So the two cards are saying that like the Page of Swords from the Rider-Waite, this person is trying to be a better person. Yeah, so the answer is like, yes, they are like, they are telling me the truth, they are being genuine in their feelings towards me or whatever when they say things to me. And then the other card is kind of saying like that they're presenting you with an intellectual challenge, and it calls upon your ability to think of a matching solution. So like whatever this person presents to you, the card is saying accept it, go away, process it, integrate it, and try not to be bothered by the message that they're giving you. Like, don't take it so personally. So if you're feeling like there's a bit of conflict in the relationship, or a bit of like something you can't quite figure out, you can't quite pinpoint, and they say something to you and it touches a nerve, instead of reacting, go away and think about what is the message they're giving to you. So like the seagull is kind of saying that there's a message here that they are giving to you. What is it? Go away, think about it, and that will give you more clarity on the situation. The Seven of Winter, which is the Seven of Swords. So this is when it's like, can we trust that their intentions are pure? So here we have a magpie. So we have another bird. And the magpie, we like, magpies like shiny things. They like to go in, they like to find a, to basically, like, magpies. There are stories about magpies where they come to your house and they see a shiny thing on the windowsill and they pick it up and they run off with it and they steal it. Or, if you drop something shiny and valuable outside in your garden, then, if you go back and look for it a few hours later, if you have magpies, it won't be there anymore because the magpie has taken it for its nest. So magpies are known for collecting treasure and hoarding it and hiding it in their nest. And this card is saying that caution will help you avoid the loss of valuables, including non-material resources such as time or peace of mind. Be aware of the results of your actions as well as what others might be doing behind your back. So in relation to this reading, it's basically like, if you are conscious and cautious of what is going on, then that will protect you from having your energy stolen by this person, by their intentions. Like, you can protect yourself and future-proof yourself from this happening if you are aware and mindful, and so long as you know that they're a bit like a magpie. Yeah, like, or they were in the past and maybe they are a bit still now. As long as you're aware of the fact that they're a bit like a magpie, yeah, and it's a nicer way to look at it as a magpie instead of an energy vampire, kind of like, or a thief, because this one is a thief. Yeah, that they're not necessarily selfishly doing it or even consciously doing it. They're doing it because they need those things, your treasures, your energy, to feather their nest. That's just in their wiring. It's how they're built, yeah. But if you're aware of it, then you can negate the damage, and you can protect yourself. And then in doing so, you can give them time to become more conscious of their actions. and that's harmful towards you. And because they're on this journey of trying to gain a higher perspective and trying to learn new things and be more kind of broaden their horizons and be more adventurous, that and they are becoming more elevated in their thinking and more spiritual, so that this part of them will change. The more they follow this pursuit, the more this side of them will change, because they'll realize that there are consequences to being like that, that befall on the people around you, and they will choose not to do that anymore. And then moving into the present and the future of this person, so that's the King of Swords, and then the King of Winter, where we have the humpback whale, and it says intelligent, impartial, respected, and unemotional. So the person that they are trying to become and who they kind of already are inside is intelligent, is impartial, is respected, and a bit unemotional, which is what I said about this card, that this man doesn't look very cuddly or touchy-feely. He looks very cold. He looks like he's made out of stone. He looks a bit rigid. And the card, the humpback whale, says, at this time it's very important that you communicate clearly, be objective and unemotional, and act as professionally as possible. If you need advice, seek out the most experienced expert you can find. So, this card tells us two things. This card tells us the character of the King of Swords, or the King of Winter, the humpback, but then it also has a personal message to you. So these cards tell us kind of the character of the person that we are doing the reading about, but underneath they then have a personal message to us to help us kind of navigate through this situation with this person. So here it says, at this time it's very important that you communicate clearly, be objective and unemotional, and act as professionally as possible. So don't get too emotionally involved. Don't be reactive. State your needs clearly, and be a grown-up about it while you're doing it. Keep your boundaries around you so that you are safe and protected, so you're not kind of getting pulled into any power play or any games that are going on. You're kind of remaining neutral outside of it all, but still holding up a hand and saying, no, this is not something that I am going to accept in a relationship, and it needs to change, or we aren't going to be in a relationship. If you need advice, seek out the most experienced expert you can find. So if you're stuck, if you really can't figure out if this person's intentions towards you are pure or not, are honest and true, then perhaps getting a second opinion would be helpful from someone else who knows you, maybe someone who's seen you with them too and kind of knows them a little bit, or else going to speak to a professional about it. If it's basically, if you've just met someone, then perhaps you can work this out on your own and you can just take things slowly and not dive in. But if it's a relationship that you've been in for a long while, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship, you might need to seek out expert advice in order to help you get to the truth of the matter, because it can be complicated. It can be complicated if it's a long-term relationship. It can be complicated if it's family as well. So seek out, independent, experienced advice if that feels right to you, and trust your intuition. But what we can see from the cards here is that they do genuinely like you. When they, when you ask them and when they say they like you and they have feelings for you, whether they're, platonic or romantic, they do genuinely really like you. So they're being truthful there in that respect. But then whether you can trust them in a relationship or not, to be respectful to you and to treat you kindly and to be nice to you, that's the one that's kind of up for grabs still at the moment. It's basically, the Seven of Swords is warning you that this person has a tendency to take and not give in return, and not to really think about the other person or the consequences of their behaviour to another person. They're very childlike in their behavior in that respect. Yeah, they're very like me, a bit narcissistic. So be careful, because they do have that in them. But the King of Swords then tells us that they are on a path to change, and that they are really trying to grow up and be a better person, and they are following through with that process. But the effort of it might make them a bit too serious, and they might forget that at the same time as learning how to meet you on your level and to have more in common with you. So for example, if you're really spiritual and you've known this person for a long time and they've just so not been spiritual, and then they've suddenly decided to go on a journey to discover spirituality and become more connected to the spirituality that they have within themselves, then that's great. Then they're really, they're working hard to have a better relationship with you and to have more in common with you. But the warning here is that maybe they will forget that it's not just about being, knowledgeable intellectually on an intellectual level. It's not just about having that information in their brain. It's actually about integrating that information and embodying that information and feeling it and practicing it on the physical plane each day, and also acting from your heart and from your gut, from your belly, and being really true to those things in all of your actions and all of your thoughts and all of your words and all of your intentions. And they might struggle there for a while, and they might get a bit stuck and be a bit rigid. And so be careful, because you might end up with the King of Winter as the king of your home, and that's not necessarily who you want. So so you can trust this person. They are being honest when they say they really like you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're compatible, and that there's a future in that relationship for you. It's not going to be an easy ride. It's a ride, and it could work out, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to be complicated. So do bear that in mind. Okay, that concludes our reading for today. A little different to usual, because I did 2 decks, and maybe that confused things slightly. I'm not really sure. It definitely kind of added another level in it to me, and made it more interesting, because the different decks have such different messages. Especially when you get one of the Hay House decks and the Radley Valentine decks. The cards they're the same, but they're not the same. They kind of try to make all of the messages a bit softer and kinder and more angelic, really. And the Rider-Waite is very, very much not that energy at all. The Rider-Waite is very kind of blunt to the point, like the swords. And so it's kind of slightly different reading, but I think it's interesting to use different decks as well to get a different perspective, and then you can kind of take the information from whichever one you prefer. So if you would prefer to see the reading as these 3 cards, then go for it, and that's your answer. And if you would prefer to see the reading as these 3 cards, then go for that, and that's your answer. Okay, so I will see you back here next time. If you liked this video, please give it a like or a thumbs up. I really support the feedback of just knowing that somebody's watched it and it's meant something to them, it said something to them. Please also do leave a comment if you feel inspired to do so. That also is really useful to me and really interesting to me, and it can help me with future videos to know what resonated with you, what spoke to you, what did or didn't get answered. And that can help me, make better videos in the future. So please do that if you have the time. And also, well done if you've got to the end of this video, and thank you for watching. Do subscribe if you would like to be informed of new videos that I have, and if you would like a personal reading or just to find out more about me personally, then you can find out more on my website, lemonrosepetals.com. Okay, thank you, bye.